Hey everybody, this is Becky with Garish Arts. I'm here tonight to work on a drawing I've got going of a unicorn with a little girl, and this is a concept idea I have for a middle grade cover for a children's book. So I've got a little girl in a cave, kind of like the Goonies. Maybe she's out somewhere, she's just in her regular clothes, and she's in a cave with glowworms, and that's something that you find in Australia. Maybe other places. I haven't looked that hard into it. But the glowworms are green, and she goes down into this cave and finds a blind unicorn that's kind of a green glowing horse. And also there's some gems that are up lighting the scene with pink. So in my reference photo, I've got the thing laid out in Photoshop really roughly, and the drawing that I just sketched out of the unicorn. So I am. Yeah. So I've got the cover here up for you to get an idea of where I'm coming from. Like I said, the horse is just kind of drawn in and pasted in on top of the scene, and hopefully the end result looks a lot more real than my Photoshop version. So that's just there for my reference. And then I also have another reference photo that I have of a horse that my son does horse therapy, and so it's one of the horses there at the stable. So they let me come into the arena yesterday, and I took lots of photos of this horse that has a lot of fuzz. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to see a fuzzy horse, kind of maybe like a worm would have, or a caterpillar. So that's the idea where I'm coming from tonight. So I'm not gonna waste any time, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the drawing. I've got fuzz going everywhere here in my world. I've got pink from down below, and there will be crystals here at the bottom, like I said, shining up against everything. And then the horse itself, the unicorn, has some glowing to it already in my mind. So there's that underglow, I guess, inner glow from the horse. And then there's the glowing from above and the horn. So light is everywhere. So I'm just kind of mixing in what light would be coming from. So, and like I said, I'm working on some of the fuzz right now, and I'm using color pencils. Caran d'Ache Luminance is the brand, and I love them. They are really good for detail and blending. And then this is a Stonehenge paper, just the kind that you buy large sheets. I haven't used the kind that you would buy in the pad of paper. I feel like this has worked a lot better for me. And this size is around 21 by 13.5 is the size of the paper that I cut for it. And at some point I will be getting into the background, so I'll be adding dark layers that will make everything pop, I think, a little bit more. So for now I've got glowing green coming through, shadows and fluffy fur hair. It feels like fur, but it's not. So it's kind of good to have been able to see the horse yesterday with all of its winter coat still on and not shedding all of it, and to imagine that this horse isn't just any other horse or just any other unicorn, but a fuzzy one. So I'm enjoying that. I will be going back through the horse to the horse and getting fine details into like little wisps of hair sticking off of the coat, mane, coat, both. So for now I've got a white background for the hair that'll be sweeping around the horse. So welcome if you've just joined. Like I said, I'm working with Caran d'Ache Luminance colored pencils and odorless mineral spirits, and I'm creating this fuzzy unicorn that's in the cave, perhaps even blind. So that could be part of my story that I might have here, but it's an example of a middle grade cover. And I'm just adding in all these details. Just takes a while. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer. I'm not a pro at any of it, but it's fun to learn together. So, getting some of these fuzzies. I'm imagining the light would be hitting up throughout the chin area. I'm adding some more up underneath the chin because I know the light would hit that too. I just know it. All right. Got some under shadow. And my initial sketch, I just kind of guessed where things were, and I did all right, mostly. A little bit weird on the neck and the chest area, but seeing the live horse yesterday really helped see where things are defined. And it looks like I'm going to add just a little bit more darker pink right through this area. A little bit more. And then the knee has some too. It's just kind of imagining where the shadows would fall in this world, in this cave that I've got going here. And soon I'll be getting into the background. I've got most of the girl done. I'm just working on her shoes, and then I can work on all the background after I get the crystals. The crystals will be fun. I think that'll be great. I haven't been able to draw those ever, so just the sides of the crystals and where it shines, and maybe picking up some of the green light from the little glowworms I'll have in the background and the unicorns. So, and in my reference photo of the cover, I have the title that I've got a created title that I just made up to go with this, and it's She Carries the Magic. So I'll have that at the very top covering most of the drawing of my cave, but I still need all of that in there to finalize the image. And then I'll probably end up doing some of that cave work into the back cover and writing a synopsis of what the story is about. And then on the front I'll also have just like the one-liner about something about blind love, if this horse is blind. So it's a great idea. So if I can get to it, if I don't have too much illustration work coming my way, I will hopefully get to write that as well. So I've got to decide. I wouldn't do too many things in one life here, I think. But that's okay. Put a little bit of pink back here too, just to blend it out. I was really enjoying how this green and pink were overlapping. It's kind of that hot, kind of bouncing off of each other feel. So I like that. So yeah. I also got the hoofs down here next to the crystals, and there'll be some rock formation down here, just plain cave flooring on this ledge, and then also the crystals, so I'll play around with that. So I'm adding some darker pink up here where it's more blended. I want to make sure that this mouth doesn't look flat, and all of a sudden I feel like it's really getting rounded out just by adding that. And I think I'll do the same thing on the cheek, jawline area. That's much better. It's hard to know. I mean, I know that this is curving in my mind, but it's hard to know where the light would be hitting from both sides, and I think all of a sudden that's really helping. Let's see. Yeah, that's definitely helping. I think I'll add some of that down here, right in between the jawline, to get that almost shadow into here on this side too. There we go. So, yeah, that's much better. And then I'm going to add some of this pink into the ear. This is shadowy underneath the horn. I love the detail. I love doing and seeing all the, what could be, you know, it's not necessarily photorealistic, but I feel like I'm there compared to something else. So I really enjoy that. Getting in some of the shadows again. And I was saying I need to decide if the mane, I think it's going to be kind of a translucent mane. So not necessarily just fully white. So I'll probably be doing a lot of the same stuff that I've got going on with the body. So I'm going to go ahead and blend some of this just to see what I've got going here. So I'm using the Odorless Mineral Spirits and using a trimmed paintbrush. One could also get that from using the paintbrush a lot. This kind of becomes that as well. And scrubbing into the color. Usually I will wait to do this a lot later in my layer work because it blends well. Otherwise you'll see all the white, but I kind of want to see the white coming through right now before I add white, if that makes sense. If I add white, sometimes it makes it more of a pastel color. I can add on top of the white and then it won't be so pastel. It'll look more like it's glowing. So for now, I will add some white first, really, really lightly. And I've got a really fine tip. I'm gonna get it even sharper on the first layer especially. I wanna get super sharp to make sure I get the pencil into the little divots into the paper. And if you don't have it very sharp, it'll be you'll see all those little dots kind of popping up through and it won't blend well. So I'm going really, really soft. You're just seeing nothing because it's just white on white. But as soon as I start to blend, I might add a little bit of green on top here for a second, and then you'll be able to see some of that. Maybe some pink is over here just a little bit, and I am barely touching the paper, but you can still see the pink. It'll be over this way. And then I'm going to blend that with the paintbrush. And since there's white under it now, it's not just kind of scrubbing nothing, it's scrubbing the white and the pink and the green together. And I'll end up going over the pant legs a little bit with white as I go. So behind here, right in this white spot, really white spot, it'll be dark. So that'll make that tail pop with the dark cave behind her. So let's see, got white blending. If I hadn't had this white under here, you would see a lot more gray, as if I've just got oil on the paper. But this is with the white that it looks like white. Sometimes if you put white in, you can color over it initially with other colors and it'll feel like it's popping, like a little dot, like if you needed a star or any of these glowworms, you could dot all over the place, and when you color over it, it blends over top and you still kind of have the white remnant there. So that's another kind of technique you can use. For now, I'm using it to just blend. And once I start blending it, then I can add on top of the white too. So right here in this dead spot that's hard to see, I've got a little bit of the tail. And then over top of her leg, I'll end up coming up like I am now with the tail. And that'll blend as well. I want all those little wispy pieces to come into play later as I go. So I'm going to blend this again down here. And this is basically, I'm blending white. So I'm just getting this in so I can add more to it. Then I can go over colors as well. So the tail will be here, and I want this part back here to be more translucent. It's thinner, like the hair is just kind of falling. You can see that I'm pressing a little harder, but not as hard. So, adding a little bit bit more. This part's dark. This is the actual tail. So I'll probably have hairs coming off of both sides here. Okay. Getting that glow. Same with her pant leg. I want to kind of cover over it a little bit, but still have some that see through. And if I need to, I can always go back and add Color Pencil Titanium White by Brush and Pencil. It's a powder color pencil, and then I mix that with the Color Pencil Touch Up Texture by the same company, which both can be a nice bright white that just kind of covers up all the, adds more white to everything, I guess, if that's what I'm trying to say. But I always do that last because you can't really blend over it with the mineral spirits. So I can imagine where I want to do more brush strokes. And I can also add in here some, shadow or see-through part that might be coming through, like the background here that I'll have. It'll be darker. So I'm gonna add that in a little bit now. I know it's gonna be greenish, cave stuff, so I'll go ahead and add that. Helps us see what we're doing here. You can see that this is part of the tail. I guess it would be more like, cascading all around. Okay. I'm just kind of giving myself some ideas of where the hair will be falling. And the good thing about this is that I can blend those out. So for example, I will take the oil and I'm just blending it out really lightly. And I'm wiping off the oil onto a cloth paper towel, not like papery paper towel, so that helps. Dab it out. I'm just going to kind of blend this background to see where I am on the pant leg. Okay. I'll make that a lot darker after a number of layers, so that's fun. All right, and then this will be dark too, so I'll have caves coming down in here. All right, I'm going to take the same mineral spirits and I'm barely dabbing, not all of it, but just barely dabbing at some of the area so it doesn't look too, all those hairs don't stand out too much. They're kind of blended in a little bit. So I've got that. Okay. A bit more down the neck. I'll get a little bit more oil. There's some over here that needs a little bit more blended. Neck. So once I very gently tap on the oil, it kind of breaks down the oil-based pencil. And then I can kind of add more. So for example, I can take the white and just kind of barely scratch up into that, not too hard so that I don't scratch the paper or burnish it when it's not ready to be burnished, which I can still kind of blend out later too, but just kind of adding some highlight. You can probably see it right there a little better. I was wanting the horse to be kind of grinning, so I was adding this little bit here with white, but I need a little bit more. So maybe on that side I would add, right on top of that white, I'm going to add some green so that's, there we go. And I barely touch it. I just don't want to burnish in. And then on the underside, I will add some more of the pink, and that might help with the smile. There we go. Not too much. So if I get to the point where I feel like it's too much, I can go in and just kind of dab it a little bit. There we go. Do that with the chin too. That softens everything up. I'm imagining that this green light is hitting the front of the face, but it's hard to just imagine. I think there's going to be some darker right in here, so I will add some of that. There's a couple of, looks like bony areas that come down from the eye and meet up around the nose, so I just want to make sure that's there. And I might add a little bit of green right over here. And a little bit of white to brighten that area up. Since this is an imagination of a horse, I'm imagining what the horse is looking like. I don't know exactly where the light's falling, so I'm just trying to get it to feel like it's actually hitting it. And I think that's helping. So go ahead and I'm going to bring some of this white down. I should also, I have a few brushes that I've shortened on purpose, either with fabric shears or they've worn over time with my acrylic paint. But I've got a number of these that are really short, scratchy, scrubby, brushy. I can never find anything like already pre-made anywhere, so this works just fine. Just kind of scrubs it and let some of that oil onto it and smooths it out. So I'm going to go ahead and scratch some of that into it. Not everywhere, because I want some of those details to stay, but some of them can kind of fall back. And I'm thinking also of focus. If this was a photograph, you know, some of this further back hair would be kind of fuzzier and less distinct. So I picked up a little bit of that pink color in the oil and I kind of dabbed it and rinsed it off and pushed it back. You can push the pigment back over to where you want it. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it kind of gets in. And I can do the same down here. Just kind of touch some areas again. I think from where I'm sitting, there is a lot of almost brown coming in. I'm sure that's from the green and red mixing visually. But closer up, it's kind of neat to see the shadows. So I picked up some more pigment and I'm just going to kind of slide it back over. Rinse off and do it again. I can do it this way and I can also color over it, but it's easier just to kind of push some of it back. Scraping it like I'm raking leaves and just scraping it back over to the other side of where I had it. Yeah, I think I picked up some of that more purple color here. Okay, I'm going to do some more right here on the arm and chest. I'm barely touching now. You can't hear the scraping, which is me barely touching it. So I'm wondering if you can see the detail. If not, you'll be able to see that also on my Instagram account at Garish Arts, as well as Facebook and Twitter. So I will add more to that. Right now I've got a commission up that I did of a horse, I guess harness racing. And that's from a photograph, and it's realistic. So it helped a lot with preparing for this. I could kind of imagine where all the details are before I took the photos yesterday of a real horse. And thankfully, well, not thankfully, I mean, I liked both. I liked doing all the vein work on the realistic horse, racehorse, but I also enjoyed this fuzz. This is kind of different. Right now I'm just kind of putting some of this oil onto this pink area. Scraping through. I don't like how this line of hair cuts right over here onto her, like it's almost her leg. So I might pull some more hair, make some more hair kind of come and overlap. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just kind of that helps. It just, you want to try to make sure your lines aren't always right alongside a main line. Confuses us, even though it might be real in a photograph or it might be real in a drawing you've done, but it just doesn't always look right in a drawing. All right. So I've got more of a blurry look back here by the back legs, which I want because her legs are a little blurry too. I don't want all the detail to be there. I want more up front, where all of the light is hitting directly. And almost that there's too much light and it's just blinding us out of all the detail. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, I hope. And be good to hear from people. It's fun to interact while I'm working. I'm usually listening to audiobooks or music, so when I'm live streaming, it's kind of fun to see what people are thinking. I just added a little bit of detail to her hand, and I'm going to go back with that titanium white colored pencil brush texture, the brush and pencil texture, as well as mixing that with the touch-up texture. That makes a kind of like a crumbly paste paint. It's almost like a not really acrylic, but almost chalky. And it's nice to add detail, but you can't add too much with that. It'll kind of crumble and crust up. So it's just really light touching up. So I'm going over some of this, trying to make it look a little bit more messy. My reference photo, there's just kind of like clumps of hair doing different things from whatever. And I don't want it to be too perfect looking. I want it to have the imperfections that it might have here in the cave. So I'm going through with the pencil. I'm pushing a little harder at this point. I'm getting to the point where I'm not doing a whole lot of under layers. I'm really happy with the way this is coming out, but I just want to make sure I'm getting that hair fuzzy look. Okay. There we go. This is the neck muscle. It comes up and around, so I just want to make sure that's mostly defined. There was the shadow here, and then there we go. Comes up a little bit more, and then the neck kind of has these ripples of fur from bending down, these creases almost. So I want to make sure those are there subtly. And once I take pictures of this and shrink it down to book cover size, some of this won't even show up. But it's there, and I think as you shrink it down, it really pops. It's a lot more realistic somehow. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to end up going back here with the touch-up texture to get some of this brightness in. I'm going to make the back here glow by adding some of the white over top. It's funny when I'm looking at the live stream, it's looking brown, so I got to make sure. It's always good to take a step back, come back later, the next day, different lighting, different perspective, and just look at it to see what it's looking like. But I want to see what this, it looks like. I started going, it's like the hair kind of goes down and then it kind of comes over. So you always want to go in the direction that it's really going, the hair. So I've got it kind of going both ways. That one's almost a crisscross, just from the perspective of the horse, because in real life it looks like it's kind of going back, but it also looks like it's coming down just by the light hitting different parts of it. So, and I'm adding the white up here too. because this glowworm light will be coming down and hitting it, and it's illuminating its own light, so somehow it's got all this light. And since, you know, there's no real photograph of this horse here in the light, it's more believable that it could be this. Okay. Should really sharpen my pencil again. I don't like it getting too dull. And I need to pull down some of this white here. This was kind of a shadow from the hair, so I just gotta make sure that's there. Okay. Get that in there. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm also on Instagram, like I said, at Garish Arts. You can subscribe or follow me there. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, and I'll be doing more live streaming here, as well as some not live process videos of my work. I do acrylic painting, usually for illustration, and I do a lot of commission work, portraits of pets and portraits of people, and lately portraits of things. So it'd be nice to do some more things. I did a car and I did an airplane. So those were really fun. Just adding some shine to the horn. A little bit of backlight, I think, will be coming through the ear. It's probably a thicker ear, but I'm still going to add a little bit of green right there because it's also glowing. Okay. Yeah, when I come back to this, I'll probably start working on the mane and getting some of those details in how I want them. I have to decide, like I said, if it's going to be more translucent or just white or green, the way I'm kind of working on it now. So. Okay, for now I'm going to sign off, but thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will be back again another night. And again, please subscribe. I'm at Garish Arts. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll put some of the material in the comments section as well. Thanks. Have a good night.